legendary Cheesecake. Elana is my good friend from Kellogg School of Management, and she will give us a tour a little bit, and she will give us some inside information how everything was started.
We'll talk about the whole history, my grandfather, my dad who I work with, and how the business has grown and changed over 44 years.
Wow, let's go inside.
This is the destination for all things cheesecake.
It's great symbol. Do you use this symbol since 1980 or 1966?
So this facility was built in 1996, and I love that I think we have to use more because we don't use it as much now, but it's like, this is the destination for all things cheesecake.
But the date when started, it was 1966 when your granddad started steakhouse, or 1980?
So officially, Eli's Cheesecake, 1980. But my grandfather started playing around with his recipe in the late 70s at his steakhouse. Eli's a place for steak. And then he developed his iconic cheesecake recipe. And then my dad at the time was a lawyer, and he saw how much people loved the cheesecake. It debuted at Taste of Chicago, which is like this huge food festival.
Cheesecake of Chicago, Taste of Chicago in that time?
Yes.
Wow.
So the first one was in 1980. Mayor Byrne created Taste of Chicago. My grandfather debuted the cheesecake there. People loved it. And then my dad said, you know what? I really want to focus on being able to bring this cheesecake outside the restaurant walls, be able to tell the story of my father. And so he quit his job as a lawyer and he started the commercial bakery.
Wow, let's go inside.
His twin. So later you'll get to talk to Mark Schulman, aka
And Obama
Will
also
Ferrell.
came to-
Yeah, so we did President Obama's 50th birthday cake. We've done some other cakes for him. We've done lots of, we're really known for doing these gigantic cheesecakes. So it started with Bill Clinton. When he was elected, we did a giant cake. It was called Red, White, and Bill. We did that in DC. We've done like Hillary Clinton's 50th birthday cakes, President Obama's inauguration cake. So
Inauguration cake?
yeah.
Wow.
I'll show
Obama
you. There's an
inauguration cake.
amazing picture here.
This one?
Yes.
Wow.
So that was in DC.
So cool.
And yeah, when we did
Blinken.
yes, this is when Secretary Blinken came
Last
to
year,
visit.
a year ago.
Yeah,
right?
it was actually right.
January.
It was January. It was our first weekend of classes in Evanston.
Yeah,
and I had to
remember.
leave early for class. And I was like, I guess this is a good reason.
I remember, yeah.
But yeah, he visited,
So cool.
and really, like 40% of our workforce are refugees. So he really wanted to learn about that program. Also, we have a lot of people with disabilities that work for us. So we really try to do sort of like very inclusive hiring practices. So we talked a lot about those programs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Okay.
talk now about your business is more B2B or B2C, or also you have B2B customers?
You know, it's a really big mix. So it kind of started, we started in food service because it kind of started with the restaurant. So when the business started in 1980, it was really supplying to restaurants, but then it's really evolved over time. So we sell a lot to airlines.
Airlines, which airlines?
United, American.
You can find cheesecake in American Airlines.
And then we do retail, so we're in grocery stores across the country. We do direct to consumer as well. We have our own site.
Nice. And where we can find, in which big store chain? Mariano's?
Mariano's, Jewel. We've done some work with Albertsons on the West Coast.
By Cheesecake. Okay.
Oh, I want to point something out.
Yeah.
Before we walk in, so we have this amazing archive of photos and all these things from over the years. So I had seen this sign when my dad first started Eli's. We had a production facility on Dakin Street, which was a mile south of here. Started as like 5,000 square feet. And this sign was hanging there, and I saw an old picture, and I loved it so much. So I recreated it and hung it above this door. The best people, the best ingredients equals the world's finest cheesecake and desserts. And the idea that it's really what we do is about people, and that's like the focus. And from great people come these great desserts.
Nice. I love it.
So in this room, you're doing everything from cheesecake batters to brownies, our cheesecake. So when my grandfather invented his style of cheesecake, which is Chicago style, it's an all butter shortbread cookie crust. And then he really broke all the rules because he did a dry hot bake. So it gets a really nice caramelized exterior and it's super rich and creamy. Traditionally, cheesecakes are baked in a water bath and the crust would be like graham cracker. So you'll see like in here, we're actually making cookie dough, shortbread cookie dough, and we're like our cookie bakers at night are baking off all our crust to get ready for the next day of production.
Thank you so much again that you host me today here, and it was great to talk with your dad. I'm sure you'll be great person to lead this company in the future, and we'll see another great results. How this experience from your dad can be transferred to you? You work with him very close, but do you think it's possible to transfer that experience, or you need time to do mistake which he did before?
I definitely need time. I think like I can be very hard on myself, and I've said so many times like, oh, like, my dad and I are so similar in so many ways, but we're also very different. And I watch some of his skills with just his day-to-day management of the business and finance acumen in areas where I can sometimes feel like insecure. And people around me have always reminded me, they're like, Elana, he's been doing this for 40 years. I've been at Eli's officially for 5 years. So I think being a little kinder to myself, like over time, I will learn everything. And then also that we are different people. So like my leadership style might be different, or things that I do might be different from him. But the thing that's similar is our commitment to people and values. And to me, I think in family business, that's the most important thing. Like there's a million different ways we could lead the business and different ways we could approach it, but the way we treat people, the environment we create, that should never change.
What about, he said about when he going from difficult time, what about you? If you go in some tough time, what do you like to do? Read, travel?
I think it's like, I think when there's like crisis in business, I think it's really bringing people together. And I think like that's always what my dad has done. And I think really like leveraging the power of the network of people that you have around you. But I think in terms of just like kind of day to day, like making sure, like my dad said, he's like, you have to have fun while you do it. So I think you have to manage your stress level to make sure that you come into work and you can laugh and like have fun while doing hard, challenging things. I think for myself, like humor and fun are really important to like my core values. So I have to make sure as a leader that like, this is a stressful business. All business is stressful. It's a lot when you're dealing with people and personalities and managing all of those sort of like energy. And so I think I just have to make sure that I continue to do things in my life that like bring me lots of joy.
And you work with a lot of now big customers like United, American Airlines. You brought this to the business, or you just decided you wanna navigate, or you came and you got this direction?
Well, it's interesting because our longtime head of sales, his name is Pete Filippelli. He was at Eli's for, since the early days. He retired right around the time I started. And so he had managed the airline business and he kind of passed it off to me. But the time that he passed it off to me was March of 2020. So literally everything he had built, all of sort of the ways that he had approached the business changed overnight. So that was like a really interesting lesson to me.
Let's back a little bit in time because you had experience to live in New York as well.
Yeah.
What did you do there?
So in college, I was a film major. So I was a video producer and I would work with, mostly at the end of my career, it was like food documentaries. It was like small crews. I was traveling all over the world. I was like doing all the logistics of the shoot, producing, but directing talent, all the story development. And so I did that. I was like at Condé Nast, and I was at Vice. Then in 2019, I moved back to Chicago. I always knew I wanted to be in the business, but I also wanted to work for other people. So that's why I knew if I moved back to Chicago after graduating that I probably wouldn't leave. So I sort of forced myself to do that. And then came back in 2019, joined the business. For the first 3 months, I kind of did rotations in all the different departments. Then I left for 3 months. I went to culinary school. Then I came back and it's been like full time for the past like 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah. But I do think my whole thing is do sort of like the unique path where do things that like really excite you, that you're passionate about. And I think in the end, it all connects. So like going into film production, I think a lot of people are like, well, that's kind of weird if you were doing film production, but you wanted to be at Eli's. And it's like, actually all the skills I learned in production, as this team knows, very much apply to running a business.
And you decided you want to join Kellogg 2 years after.
Yeah, I kind of like always in the back of my mind was like, I want to get my MBA. I remember living in New York and being like, should I stop now and do full time? And then I kind of like gave up on it a little bit. I was like, I don't think I really am the right person to go to business school. And then like one night I like woke up in the middle of the night and I was on the Kellogg website and I saw the executive program. This has happened a couple times in my life. And I saw it and I was like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to do that. The same thing happened when I did culinary school. I woke up at like 3 a.m. I found this program. I was like, I'm going to go do that. And I just kind of did it.
Tell a little bit about culinary school.
So I did this program in Ireland, which everyone's like, why would you go to Ireland to go to culinary school? But it's this program called Ballymaloo. It's 3 months. You live on like a 100-acre organic farm. And you would wake up in the morning at like 4 a.m. You would harvest all of your vegetables for the day. You would like make bread in the morning. You would milk cows.
So cool.
Then you would, for the first half of the day, you'd be in the kitchen. You would get assigned recipes. You'd have like a team member that you were responsible for working with. And then in the afternoon, you would watch the teachers like do different, recipes, cuisines. It was 6 days a week. It was really intense, but so fun. And I remember like now that we're back in school, people would be like so stressed out about like we had to memorize like all these herbs and take like an herb identification test. And everyone was so stressed out. I was like, guys, this is not the thing to stress out about in life. Like we're gonna get through this. And I feel like the same thing has happened in school where everyone like stresses out about the finance exam, all the stuff. It's like, we're gonna get through it.
Everywhere is the same in each school.
It's always the same.
The same. Okay, about school, Kellogg, what is your favorite moment in school or favorite professor? Or 3, you can say 3.
Okay, that makes it easier. It's like hard to pick one. My number one thing in general that I love about Kellogg is I feel like there's so much joy and like humor in all of the classes, like even when you least expect it. And I really like that about Kellogg. I feel like people don't take themselves too seriously, which I appreciate. I've loved Mitchell Peterson. I think that he's like, really hard class, but he is so committed to his students. And I feel like there was many times where I'd come to him and be like, I really don't get this thing. I need your help. And he would like pick up the phone immediately and call me and like go through it with me. So like, he's just an amazing person. We talked about the marketing classes. I mean, I think like Chernev's class really, it definitely pushes you. And I think it sort of changed the way I think about marketing problems in business. In like, there was always like with all of his case studies, there was always like a big kind of light bulb moment that would go off where like you like thought a certain way and then he kind of totally flipped the way you think of things. And I like loved that class. Let's see. And I loved Sergio Rebello.
Rebello.
I mean, I remember, so we took his class in Lisbon. I went into it, so it was like marketing, international finance. And I kind of went in being like, how much am I going to like international finance? He made that class so interesting.
With wine.
Yes, with wine. With wine, like his
Easy,
style, yes. He's really, I think he's so brilliant, but he can totally sort of like explain concepts in a way that you understand, even if they're extremely complex. He's great.
Great. And favorite moment?
This is so hard.
International, maybe electives, travels.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is so hard. I mean, Lisbon was really, that was amazing. I think even like, you know what my favorite thing is? Just thinking about how much like we've grown from like today, from like that first week in Miami, you know, and like all coming together and like, I guess I can't say it on video because some of the stuff has to be secret for future cohorts, but like some of those like bonding activities were really memorable. What's your favorite moment?
My favorite moment. I like international electives. It was great. That I have ability to travel, see people from around the world,
Yeah.
and get this education. It was great. Marketing classes, when I get experience to when we have like this tasting during the class.
Yeah. Oh, that was really
They
fun.
brought a beer. For me was like, wow. They brought the beer in school and like we talk about this case. This was for me like, wow. I was like, this school is doing a great job. Okay, what about do you have any big dream?
Well, I have a lot of big dreams. Some of them are like, you know, I always used to be like, I want to reopen the steakhouse. I think many people have told me, you know, I know how the restaurant business is. I think that dream, I used to be so certain I would do it, to be determined, but I'm going to kind of put it into the universe that if it could happen, that would be really amazing, if the right things aligned. And I think like I have so many different interests that I think that I can bring into the business. And I think like that's my favorite part of like, you know, I love video, but I also love like comedy and storytelling and all these things. And it's like, they can all relate to cheesecake. So I don't know.
Maybe we'll go and start another direction for it. But I think your dad very focusing, like he's like focus, right? If you do business, you're not buying 3 other businesses and doing everything.
Yeah, it's like, I think, yeah, I'm like, if another business came along that was like interesting, that made sense, but I think like, I'm just really focused on like, really, I love food and I love like people and customer service. And so I'm like really focused on like, what are like really like fun, innovative things that we can make that we're really thinking outside of the box. Like those are the things that make me excited, but not as much like, oh, my goal is to open a second facility or to be this size of a company. It's like, I'm more product focused.
Nice. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best for your family, for your business, and maybe we'll record another interview very soon.
Thank you. You're the best. And I want to thank you you are such a like, you're so busy with your business, and that you make the time to like document these stories is so nice for everyone in our cohort, but also the world. So you're the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.